Are we not? I think we are live. Always an adventure. All right, here we go. So I was playing with a new software today. That's it on live. Let me just check real quick. Yeah. I'm live. Awesome. Segment group. I'm blind. I just try to pretend I'm not. I can't stand wearing glasses. Don't think I'm live in the group. Let me see if I do one more thing. All right, here we go. I think I'm live everywhere now. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Today we are talking about scaling your content production. This is really hard. I think that, so one of the big things is when you first start off, it's hard to figure out what your content needs to be. And we evolve and we study and we hear new things and we learn new things and we think that we have it all under control, and then we decide to do something else. So wherever you're at in that journey, I'd love to actually hear down below on a scale of 1 to 10, how dialed in are you on your content if you're consistently doing content. And if you're not consistently doing content, let me know where you're at on that journey. Like, don't do content, sporadically do content, or need to do content. Let me know. In my opinion, obviously, you guys all know, I believe everyone should be doing content. Doesn't matter what stage of your journey you're in. I wish I'd listened to my own advice back in the day, but we all have different priorities, and at the time it wasn't one of mine, and I guess I didn't see where I was going in my business, if that makes any sense. So I would just say start now, regardless of where you think it's going to go. It's not going to hurt you. It can only help you. It can only improve where you're at, what you're going, what you're doing, yada. So content is of the utmost importance. It's one of the things that you definitely want to make sure that you're on top of. Let's see. So every month I do a let me just add everyone real quick. So every month I do some paid workshops if you're ever interested. They're pretty affordable for ideation, content ideation, blah, and then content creation. And I do them in 4-hour chunks. And the reason I do them is, to get myself to do my own. And for those of you that can't seem to get it on, the idea is to do a whole month in those times. Whether you can do it or not is up to you. But I get round and caught up a lot of times. But you definitely can do your entire month's worth of content in that amount of time, especially if you're using ChatGPT to help you. Another thing is, in our businesses, a lot of times we get this feeling when we first start our businesses that nobody can do what we do. Okay, so to an extent, that's true, right? And if you're a perfectionist, this is going to be even worse for you. But sometimes you've heard, like, it's better to just get it out there than to wait until it's perfect, because it'll never be perfect. That holds true with literally everything in life. And you might spend 6 hours creating a YouTube video with all of the bells and whistles, and it flops. And then you spend you go on live and wing it, and it's like soars. you just really don't know where a lot of things are going. You can help yourself, obviously, by understanding your audience and, a lot of different things, but you just don't know. So I'm not saying not to spend the time, but I'm not saying to get caught up on it either. You don't want to get caught up on it, for lack of a better word. So everybody says quality over quantity, but quantity matters. It really does. And you need to put it out there. And if it didn't matter, you wouldn't see people as big as Gary Vee putting the amount of content out there that he does, right? He doesn't need to put out that much content. Why does he do it? Because he knows. Quantity also matters. Does every single one of his pieces of content hit? No. But if he's putting out more content, more likely to hit. And the same holds true with you. So clearly you want to be, we're all entrepreneurs, so we're 1% better every day. You want to be doing that with yourself, with your content, with your fitness, with your, relationship, with everything that you do. But in your business and in your content, you want to be looking at, okay, what worked last month? What should I double down on? What might need some tweaks? What should I probably just get rid of? And you can tell by looking at it. And you need to understand what you're looking at, because if you go viral, which everybody's like, oh, I want to go viral. I want to go viral. But do you? But do you really? Is it really the best thing for you? And a lot of times I will say it may not be. And the reason it may not be, number one, I was talking about the cat videos, right? If you are not selling cat products, you don't want to go viral with the video that you recorded of your cat playing. You just don't, because it's not going to help your business, right? That's totally pointless. But what if you are catching attention with that, and then it is about your business, or however you want to say it, right? What if it is about your business, but it goes viral? Even if it goes viral and it's all about your business, the likelihood of all of those being good leads is very slim to none. And what does that do? That muddies the water, right? Then you have all of these leads coming in that are showing Facebook that these are the type of people that you like, and maybe they're not. So it muddies the water. You don't want that. So your best bet is to just focus on who you want to focus on. We all get very caught up on the numbers and everything else. And I know, I do, I'm not going to say I don't, but we're normal. We're all just human. But you want to remind yourself that it's really not that important. How many clients could you really take on? Like, let's say all of a sudden you got 10 new clients this month and you're doing one-on-one, all in 1 month, 10 new clients and you're doing one-on-one. That's probably a lot for you to try to onboard 10 new clients, to focus on them. If you have some past clients that you're still focusing on, that's probably a lot. So how many people do you need to speak to get 10 new clients? Maybe 100. Anyway, I digress. My point is, you want them to be as specific as possible, because you don't need 100,000. You need 100, right? That's my whole point. All right. So let's move on. We are going to talk about, I'm not doing slides again. I want to know if you watch me ever, hashtag live if you are on live, and hashtag replay if you're on replay. I would love to know if you've seen the past episodes, whether you like the ones without the slides, like I'm doing today, like I did last week, or whether you like the ones with the slides that I did before. Maybe I could start doing a combo. Maybe I'll try that next week. All right, but I'm trying it without the slides again this week, just for, I don't know, a million different reasons, but we're doing it without slides. All right, so if you know me, I love to do the acronyms. I'm super cheesy. Oh, I listened to sidetrack. I listened to a podcast this morning that was so good. It was about this woman who, of course, I don't remember which podcast it was or which one it was. If you're interested, chat me and I'll look it up. Anyway, she actually, her business was naming things, I guess. So naming businesses, naming products, that kind of thing. What a cool business, right? That'd be super fun. Anyway, she had this whole process going on with it, but Oh my God, totally forgot where I was going with that. Oh, one of the things she talked about was, being very clear in what you do. And I think when we're talking about scaling your content production, being super clear with what you do is very important. I love to use the acronyms, and it's just cheesy for me. You don't have to memorize them. You don't have to do anything. Sometimes, like I think she mentioned this morning, and I actually heard it the other day. Sometimes the acronyms make it not as clear as clear. I think they're fun. I think they make it clear, but you're never going to memorize them all because I do a different one every week. So they're not meant to be memorized in my case for this particular purpose. All right. So my main product is called Star, STAR. So that one, is an easy one, and Star product. And then my other big product is called 30 and 30. It's kind of catchy. Anyway. All right. So scale. Oh, I just gave it away. I never give it away. All right, so we're going totally backwards. We're going totally off grid here. But now you know. So the acronym for today is SCALE, and we're doing scaling your content production. So the first letter is S. Oh, so sad. You can't guess it. All right. Systematize your process. So anytime you're scaling in business, this is the first thing you want to do. And when I meet with one-on-one clients, one of the first things, like in our STAR program, one of the first things that we do is you got to figure out all the foundations first. You can't scale it if it's not scalable, if that makes any sense. So you need to have that firm foundation. And what does that include? That includes all of the stuff about your company, your values, where you're going, what your goals are, your outcomes that you can produce are, how you lay out your program. Like, I don't know if any of you've ever seen mine, but the STAR program has like an entire Excel spreadsheet. There's milestones that go with it. You can check off everywhere you've been, that type of thing. You want to have all of that. Why? Because you want a lot of different reasons, but you want to productize it a little bit. And once you get it into a system, that's when you can scale. And the same holds true with your content. Your content has to have a system, and you need to build the system so that you can do it over and over and over again. So what you want to do is look for some key areas that you can build systems around with your content creation. So if you're joining me live, drop what you think could be some systems that you might do. Now, you might have software, for example, build it once and send it out everywhere. Maybe you use oh my God, why can't I think of the name? Metrical, right? So you can just pop it in there and then it goes out. I follow a guy on LinkedIn, and I'm gonna at least spend the time to do this just to see how it works. But there's a way to systematize it automatically once it drops it, kind of like a Zapier funnel with a lot of your work just off of a spreadsheet. I love that. So there's different ways to do it. You use the Trello board, whatever it is, however you want to do it. But what are some ways that you can systemize it and then automate it? That's where it gets a little bit tricky, where it gets harder. But example, if you use Metricool, right? You put up that post on there and then it can go to a bunch of different places. So that's automated, right? You can schedule it. If you're using Meta for Instagram and Facebook, you can schedule those. LinkedIn, you can schedule them. So TikTok, wherever you are, you can schedule it, right? So that makes it a lot easier. Maybe you have VAs. How many of you have VAs? How many of you have VAs? Let me know. So once you have VAs, this is, obviously you have to have it systematized before you have the VA, or have, a lot of times we want to hire people and have them fix all of our problems. But the reality is we need to have our problems fixed and then hire somebody to do it and go through it And that's really a better way to do it. So kind of like with organic marketing, like I think it's helpful to start posting organically for a while before you ever do ads. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Even if you have the money, honestly, it's still better to do that. And the reason I think, one of the first reasons I think, is when you first start posting and when you first start going out there, you don't have your voice. You don't know who you are, what you're all about. So I think that if you start posting for a while and get your groove on, you start like you're all over the map, and then you what you're posting about or what you're talking about starts streamlining. It just does naturally. Well, once you get to that state, then it's a lot easier to hand it over to somebody else. Do you see how like kind of pointing you in that direction, right? So systematize your processes, figure out everything. Chat GPT. Do you have certain GPTs that you use? Do you have certain prompts that you use over and over and over? How many times do you get on your computer and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this one. Let me find the prompt. And then that starts the rabbit hole, right? I'll do this. I'll be like, let me find, and I start looking for it. And then I see something along the way, totally forget what I'm looking for and go down that rabbit hole. And it could be 3 days later before I remember that 3 days ago I was trying to do it. So does that happen to you? Who here relates with me? If you're my age, you definitely do. Anyway, just saying. I think I was always a little bit like that anyway. But if it's systematized, it's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So again, if you use something like Trello or Asana, a way to systematize creating a post on Instagram. It might be type of post. And then for each type of post, you might have a list. But let's just say you have a talking head post. That would be my favorite, right? So for a talking head post, you want to know what's the topic, what's the theme, what type of, what is your goal? Are you promoting something? Are you, and I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, but whatever. There are a lot of different things that you need to know before you ever even create it. Then you need to script it. You need the hook that's going to go on the graphic. You need the hook title of the whole thing. What are you going to say first? That type of thing, right? What's your CTA? What are your points that you're going to talk about? So script it. And then you need the graphics. Maybe you need to edit it. You need to add all of that can be systematized, right? And it doesn't mean it has to be like some computer program written. It could be a piece of paper that you look at and you check off, or, an Excel sheet or a Trello or whatever that you just check off. Yeah. Okay. I scripted it. Bing. What's my next step? Bing. Next step. Bing, 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 bing. A lot of reasons for this. Number 1, you don't forget a step. Number 2, you don't have to sit there and go, okay, what am I doing next? Okay, where was I at? You save a lot of time by not hunting and pecking, by not looking and getting off track, by just knowing, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. So even if you're a one-man band, this can be systematized. You absolutely want to systematize when you're a one-man band. It's so much easier down the road once you have everything ready to go. And I always encourage you, as soon as humanly possible, hire somebody. If it's for 4 hours a week, hire them for 4 hours a week. But if you are not systematizing, if you're not writing your SOPs, standard operating procedure, that would be one, right? When I create an Instagram talking head, these are the steps that I go through. Which of those steps can be outsourced? How am I going to do this? Blah, 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 blah. All right. Oh, tell me if you can think of some other systems that you might build around your content production. Which days of the week do you do what? Build a system around it. Example, elevate and engage. I have certain days that I do certain things. If I mess that up, which I do, then it's all messed up. So you want to make sure that you have a system in place and that you do it over and over and over. It's like habit. You have to keep doing it over and over and over until you really, really, really have it dialed in, and it's now becomes part of what you do without fail. All right, easier said than done. The C scale, we're only on C. All right, I'm moving faster. Woo, we're way in here. Collaborate effectively. So another way to scale content is to collaborate. Number one, super fun, super fun, super fun. I actually have an idea that I might, I've said about 3,000 times. I actually have an idea that I'm going to put into fruition play coming up here soon about collaborating. So I'm kind of excited about that. I haven't started it, so I'm not talking about it. But anyway, leverage. If you know me, that's one of my favorite words. When I read the 4-Hour Work Week, that's one of the things that I got out of it was outsourcing, leveraging. It is how you scale. So the more you can collaborate, the more you're going to scale. And again, if you are a beginner getting out there, you may have this feeling of competition. And it comes from a place of fear and lack and not where you want to be, right? Not where you want to be. The more you're in it, the more you realize I'm too loud for so-and-so. You know, so-and-so would be so annoyed at how loud, if they ever heard me laugh, how loud I laugh, it wakes up their baby. Another person cannot stand that I wear long eyelashes. Somebody else, you know, counts my ums and gets so distracted when I speak that they don't ever learn anything. So whatever it is, you know, there's always going to be somebody that isn't into me. But what if I'm collaborating with somebody else and they're totally into that other person? Win-win, right? Win-win. They were in my audience. Now they see that other person. Also, how many times have you signed up for something and you sign up for more than one? I do that. When I am like zeroed in on something, I don't sign up for one. I sign up for like overkill. It just is the way I am. So a lot of people are like that in our world. So if you're doing what I do, a lot of people are like that. If you're not doing what I do, people may not be like that, but still, people will resonate with you or somebody else depending on who you are, what you're all about, what stage they're at, what stage you know, who you target. You just benefit everybody when you bring everybody up. So collaborating is amazing. It's fun. I haven't done it in so long, and I'm excited to get back into doing it. So leverage, leverage, leverage. Leverage means, you know, I don't want to say the word using, but using somebody else. So I have to think of a better way to explain that because it sounds terrible. You're not really using them. It has to be a win-win for everybody. You're introducing them to your audience. They're introducing you to their audience. What does that do? A couple of things. Number one, if they are loved by their audience and they're introducing you to their audience almost automatically loves you, or at least you come in at a much higher level. Your level of trust is bumped up. Your level of everything, know, like, and trust is just elevated because they have introduced you to their audience. So that's a whole different thing too. You want to figure out when you collaborate effectively, you want to figure out who's doing what, when, how, what, you know, kind of get it as systematized, as down to the nitty-gritty as humanly possible, while still keeping it fun, of course. But everybody has to have a role. Otherwise, you know, everybody's, you know, you think they're doing something, they think you're doing something, nobody's doing anything. So again, maybe you're collaborating with somebody way above your belt or way below your belt. If that's the case, then maybe, you know, if you're here and they're here, maybe you're adding things in to make it even. You know, maybe you are sending 5 times and they're sending once. I'm talking about like emails or putting posts out or whatever. Maybe that's the case. That's all right. That's okay. You know, that's still beneficial to you. And if they've agreed to do it, it's beneficial to them as well, if you hold up your end of the bargain. So you want it to be beneficial to everybody involved, meaning you, them, your audience, their audience, everybody involved. That's how you collaborate effectively. And then you want to make sure that everybody has their role and everything is very clean. All right, next one. A, automate repetitive tasks. We kind of went into this in my very long, one for S. But when do you create your content? When do you edit your content? When do you schedule it? Do you do some sort of analytics? Like, do you do that at the end of the week, end of the month, end of the quarter? Is it scheduled? How do you, maybe you curate content, maybe you have an ideation way that you go about doing it. Set up different workflows that you can use yourself. I was talking about that one that comes straight from Google Drive. That's probably very high tech for most people, so you wouldn't want to do that. I'm going to do it for play. I haven't tried it, so I don't know how high tech it is, but I'm just saying it looks really complicated. But that might not be something that you geek out on, so you don't want to do that. But set up flows, hire somebody to set up flows, however you want to do it. So there's a lot of ways to set up repetition in tasks. For example, this show. If you are interested in making sure that you see every single one of our Elevate and Engage shows, which I'm sure all of you guys are, then you sign up at elevateandengage.com. And there's automatic email reminders that go out every time I'm doing an Elevate and Engage so that you get it. And the reason we do that is so that you can be there every time, right? And so that I don't forget to send it every time. So for example, I might forget to update that page. I think they did this past week. I might not do that, right? Delegate. I might not do that, but you still get the emails if you're in there, even if it says, last week's or 3 weeks ago. I want to talk about the delegate really quick while I just mentioned that. So one of the things with delegating is you have to be on top of your own stuff because you can't delegate something that's not done, right? And mine's done and I'm not delegating. So gonna fix that today. All right, next one. So automate as many repetitive tasks as possible. If you can't figure out how to automate it, do an SOP for it. Although it's not digitally automated, it's still automated, right? If you know that on Mondays at 10, you're doing X. On Tuesdays at 12, you do X. That's kind of automating it a little bit, right? If you have an SOP written out, step 1 is this, step 2 is this, step 3 is this, step 4 is this, then I know when I get onto my content creation, I know that this is the order that I do it in. I can go back and check. That's automating as much as you can for the moment, right? All right, L, leverage user-generated content. This is kind of like the holy grail, Some of you may not have any of this, and you may not even have ever thought of this, right? Maybe you don't know, but how can you use other people's content in your stuff? So I want you to start thinking about how you might use what other people do, other people's content. Let me give you some examples. Let's say you are a fitness coach, right? And one of your clients is tracking his journey and he posts pictures of standing in front of the mirror, flexing, like my flexes, standing in front of the mirror, flexing. Or he posts the posts about, how his eating has radically changed and it hasn't even been that big of a deal and he's loving it. That's user-generated content that you can use if you were the one that helped him figure out his new eating habits or his new workout routine. Obviously, I would ask him, hey, I just saw this post. Do you mind if I use this in my things? They will not mind. They're proud. They're posting it, right? So I would do that. You could do incentives. If you are let's say, so health and wellness is mostly what I do, but let's talk about a different one. Let's say you are a spiritual coach. Let's say you're a spiritual coach. I'm going to try not to butcher this because I don't know wholly what you do, but let's just say you're a spiritual coach. How could you use what your clients are doing, their content in your stuff? Same thing, right? They're going to be posting something about how they feel better, or they've had some sort of change or transformation in who they are as a person, or how they feel, or how they're connected, or their mindfulness routine, whatever it is. Again, use that. Ask them. Ask your audience for it. Hey, if any of you have done any of the things that I'm talking about and posted about it, tag me on your posts. I want to see them. Yes, tag me on everything. Tag me, tag me, tag me. So you want to figure out ways to incentivize them to do it. So in my world, maybe what I do is come up with a template, like a post template. I put it out to the world. I say, tag me on it, right? And maybe I watch all those. And the one who gets, a ton of comments on theirs, I contact them and I say, hey, thanks so much for using this template. I love it. I saw that you got a lot of comments. Can I use that in my posting or whatever content? So that's a way to use user-generated content. If you want to jam on that for a second, think of some ideas, just let me know. Or where else can you get some ideas? ChatGPT. Think of some promotional strategies that you can use. That might be a promotional one, like giving them a template and saying, who we're going to do a vote on these posts, or I'm going to pick the top 5, and then we can vote on them, something like that. Right. All right. Maybe if you have a huge audience already, that would be huge. I will repost yours on mine. That in and of itself is incentive for them. If you have a huge audience, if you don't have a huge audience, you're going to think of other ways. But by giving them, in my example that I use, by giving them a template that makes it easier for them, they might go use it, blah, blah, blah. Or health and fitness, by one of your clients using something that you did. Sorry, we should always count at what minute in. Ooh, I'm way far in this time. Okay. Do I on? Health and fitness. If one of your clients is using something that you did, let's say you don't have any clients and you're like, I am not doing this for free. I'm going to just start building my audience. How can you use user-generated content? Give it for free, right? Post a great tip and say, if you've tried this tip and you post about it, tag me. Now, it's very difficult to get people to do that, especially that you don't know. But if you do it enough, you're going to get somebody to do it. Just like with testimonials, if you ask for enough testimonials, follow up enough, make it easy for them, then you'll get the testimonials back in. So just think of some of those strategies that you might be able to use in your own business, and how can you incorporate that into what you're doing? How many of you have ever even thought of doing that and are like, ooh, that's the one I'm implementing today? All right, so next one, E, we're on the last one, scale. Evaluate and expand. So this is how we scale intelligently, right? We want to figure out, like I said, what was working last month? What am I going to double down on? What kind of maybe didn't flop, and I want to tweak and see if I can get it working. You want to figure out, if you did a podcast and you got 0 out of it, do you want to do it again? I'd say yes, right? Don't judge it on one podcast. But if you've done 100 podcasts and you're still like, I still can't figure out what the benefits of me doing these podcasts are, which I can name a lot, but let's just pretend you couldn't. Then where can you tweak? What can you do better? Or do you need to just drop it? Maybe it's not an efficient use of your time. Maybe that's not where you need to focus to help you scale. So set some KPIs, some key performance indicators, set those before you start. So today, sit down and say, these are my goals that I want to accomplish by the end of the year or the month or whatever it is. These are the ways that I'm going to accomplish them. And this is what I'm going to track, right? I'm going to track whether I do those every day or whether I do those every week. And I'm going to track, example, I'm going to start posting and I'm going to track my engagement on those posts. I'm going to track and see, is anybody looking? Is anybody doing blah, 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 right? If nobody's looking or doing anything, is it because this is terrible or is it because you had to do all this other stuff that you never did? So think about those things and don't get, make sure you have it all the whole way laid out. And give it a shot. Like if you have a strategy, I would say focus on one strategy. Don't do all of them, right? Like if you're going to focus on collaborating, just focus on that for a couple of months and see how that works. And then add to it. Then maybe you can scale. Systematize. Systematizing is an ongoing effort. It's always going to be evolving and improving. And you might see something that somebody else does. You might hear something that somebody said, and you might be like, ooh, I need to add that in, whatever. But if you have, maybe an hour on Saturdays, you're like, I'm going to sit down for 1 hour every Saturday and check out my week and see where I could systematize, automate something. That's a great use of your time. Why? Leverage, right? All right. Let's see. I had something else. Okay. So let's go through real quick. The scale. Speed on my slides. The scale is systematize, collaborate, automate, leverage, and then evaluate. That's the scale. So if you have watched this in its entirety, let's talk about what you're going to do right now. Right now. Give yourself 5 minutes. It's not even the top of the hour. So before the top of the hour, from now until the top of the hour, identify one repetitive task in your content process that you can automate this week. Maybe systematize. Right? At least write down what it is. So you're posting, your email responses. I wouldn't automate so much of that, but your curation. I would say maybe not so much that you can automate, but that you can SOP. If all of your SOPs are done, then start talking about automating. But one repetitive task that you can write an SOP for this week. You want to do this every single week, right? Just one. That's Saturday, 1 hour, right? But right now, identify the repetitive task that you're going to work on Saturday. If you have time to do it right now, more power to you. Identify it, write it down, keep it somewhere so that you can use it the next time you do that task. Don't do it out of memory, do it out of your SOP so that you see where the gaps are, where the holes are. Oh, this should have been above this, blah, blah, blah. Keep doing that 6 or 7 times, and then you'll know, ooh, this is good. Then film it. Then add a little bit of a video to it. All right. So in the beginning, it might take up a little bit more time. True, false, true. It might take up more time. However, in the long run, it is going to free up so much of your time and your headspace for the things that you really need to focus on. You really need to be doing yourself. All right. So after you figure out what your SOP is, if you post it, tag me on it, of course. If you automate something, if maybe you're a little bit more advanced and a little bit more ready, if you actually automate something, tag me. Tell me what it is. I want to hear about it. If it's not something you're posting, DM me. I still want to hear about it. Find this video, share it under here, share your experience. I want to know, what did you do? How much time you think it's going to save you? How long it took you to do it? Give me the details. Give it all to me. All right. Share your successes with me, with everybody else. Let them know how you're scaling your content production. This is one of the things that we all need to talk about. So if, again, you're here to the end, I have a free automation setup guide. I'd love to give you DM me automation and I will send that to you. It's free automation setup guide. Just DM me the word automation and I will send that right over to you. I should have put that in the post and I did not. Maybe I'll edit it and add it. What else? Next week. Oh, next week we have a big week next week. We've got our training. That is Zoom only. The training is on Wednesday from it's called From Empty Calendar to Fully Booked. That's on Wednesday at noon Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time. So it's an hour after this one. That's on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we have Elevate and Engage again. I can tell you what it's about. I didn't pull it out. Hold on. 2 seconds. Oh, next week is the fun one. Holiday marketing, crafting seasonal content that sells. Who doesn't need that? Who doesn't need that in their business? All right. So that's a fun one. I will see you next week on Elevate and Engage for that. And if you want an invite to that training, Empty Calendar to Fully Booked, let me know. Love to have you there. How many of you have fully booked calendars? If you do, tell me about it. If you don't, tell me you want to come. I will see you then. It's an hour long. That's it for today. Have an amazing rest of your day. I feel like I'm sure I'm forgetting something because I don't have my slides to keep me in track and I should have written it down and I didn't. All right. Have an amazing extra day. I'm going to go back and see if all of this automation worked and I might use this instead of the other one from now on. How many of you, if you're still here, are going live on Facebook and what software do you use and what software do you like? I like to try new things. I'm buggy that way. All right. See you next week. Ciao, ciao.